One thing that I hope the app gets used for is when people have debates like online, I feel like it usually goes nowhere. They'll debate like small topics and then or like big topics for like 10 minutes and then like
Yeah.
move on to the next giant topic. And like what I'm hoping is like people use this where they'll map out the debates like discussions. Later people can revisit them or add on to them.
Let's get into it. What's on the plate?
Okay, so in terms of this, so basically an app in which you can map out your arguments and share a hybrid between Reddit and Twitter, but more structured. So right now I'm calling it Town Squared. Obviously the name's up for debate, like not that great of a name. But the idea is basically like it's like the town square where like everybody gets together to talk. You asked me for a list of like basic functionalities. So this is the overarching list, and we will go into each of these pieces now. Basic list of functionalities, way to move through the topics, like Reddit navigation through subreddits, kind of like a main screen where you can see different topics that you might be interested in. Next one is a way to interact with the topic. And these kind of go in like the order flow in which users would act. So now you kind of go into your own subreddit or like your own argument, or no, like not necessarily your own, but like just an argument out there that you can interact with. You can follow, share, save the argument. You can add information to new branches of the argument or like click your way through it to kind of see like the feed and like see where you agree or disagree. And then yeah, you can create new branches so you can add to it, kind of like making a new post or replying to somebody's comment. But instead of it being like comment based, it's like node discussion based.
Okay.
And then you can also like upvote and stuff like that. So like you'll get an overarching view of what the whole argument is from base the root node of like the basic question to like all the different little pieces of it, and like see where you agree or disagree and like what nodes you kind of like subscribe to. And then view graphics for how many people interact with the topic, just kind of like metadata on the topics. I feel like this is kind of like an interesting feature of the app. Not unique, but just like, oh, like if you have like friends, it's like where do most people fall in this argument, or like where do most people in general fall in this argument? How many people are like interacting with this argument chain?
I think it'd be cool also to have like how many nodes are on this topic. Like, what is the complexity of this topic?
Yeah, exactly. This is kind of like some basic layout stuff that I was going through. We had talked through it. It's kind of like a dating app where you'll like see a topic, decide whether or not you want to go into it, and kind of like it, not like it, agree or disagree, move through. And then this is kind of like an example of like what the different nodes might be. So like this top piece up here might be one chain, or might be like one page. So it's like thinking of a phone view. So you're looking at it, you're like looking at the argument. You already clicked like yes from here, from this page where you see the picture. You've already clicked the yes side. It just shows some basic information about like how many people agreed with yes, and then it breaks down further like into the sub arguments. So kind of like your reasoning behind it. Obviously, here I think kind of like the flaw with the app that we'll need to iterate on is that like arguments don't really break down into two things, like a yes or no or a binary, like 1 and 0. So we'll just have to think of ways to do it. Like you might be able to like scroll through the different options and like check off all the ones. Kind of like when you order a meal, like I want ketchup on it, I want a hamburger on it, I want this type of bun on it. So you scroll through all the different options.
I'm just thinking about this now, and let me know if this makes sense because I haven't thought it through. But like, what if each node, as the user is creating it, has to assign it either each node is a yes no, or they have to assign it some percentage of like this is like 80% yes, 20% no, and then based off of then the app itself can aggregate the numbers of each node and produce a final like 60% people say 60% of the arguments are for yes, 20 or 40% are for no, or it could even be like and 10% or like 10% is maybe or something like that.
I would have to see that idea out. I think that would be an interesting
It's
feature.
like aggregating like the people are inputting the information into the node itself, and then we would just have to aggregate the nodes and each yes no on the nodes rather than having to come up with like a super final result.
Yeah, by final result, like where people land, you're saying?
Yeah, like I think it would solve a little bit more for the total, like a total yes for the whole argument and a total no for the whole, or yeah, yes for the whole argument, no for the whole argument, and base it off of just like how many nodes are in support. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, I think like the yes no voting is kind of like let's say I clicked on yes, just like based on like the node that asked the question and the two, like you'd get like a percent of like 60% went yes, 40% went no. And then as you go down, you like vote for each one that you like go through, where you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
agree with this side, and so it would show percentages broken down at like different levels. Um,
Yeah. Or like, yeah, exactly. Like a thumbs up, thumbs down per node type of thing, and then we could like aggregate, like potentially aggregate that.
yeah, definitely.
When you're adding a node to a topic, what are the types of information that you can add? Because I think that would influence the design a lot. Of like, will you upload? Is it like photo based? Like you can upload a photo, you can upload a video, you can like link to a site. Like how many options, and what is the formatting of like someone adding their own node to a topic?
Okay, yeah. So I think this is a good thought exercise because I haven't fully fleshed it out. So kind of based on like what visual constraints we're working with, like we want this to be like mobile accessible and desktop accessible, but like I don't know personally, like I really only ever use Reddit on my phone and like Twitter. Like
Yeah.
I think that's true of most people. So I would say like you're like one. So like, what do you add when you're creating a new node? So
Yeah, like what are the options of information that you can add?
yeah, so it'd be one sentence, like summary slash question, uh, of it, and then like kind of like how in Wikipedia, like you'll have like, I guess maybe Wikipedia is a bad example, but like I guess kind of going back to Reddit, like you'll have the one sentence tagline, and then you can click into it into like somebody's comment to see like more of their comment.
Mm,
So like really focusing on like one sentence summary, and then when you click into it would be like more info on the question. So like it would kind of like scope out the question, define terms, and then I think I'd also want people to be able to add images to it,
mhm.
pages and nodes, so that way there's like a visual aspect to it. So kind of going back to like the basic design, this design was supposed to be kind of like a Tinder thing,
Mhm.
like I mentioned. So like I'd want people to be able to add images to it, and like even over here on these nodes where it's just plain text, I think it'd be more interesting if people could add like a picture and then have the text underneath it, or like overlapping somehow,
I
uh,
see.
so that like I don't know, just kind of like
I
visual
agree
interest
with
for
the
the
image
audience.
thing. I
Mhm.
think it like I really do think that Reddit will be our best like source of inspiration for this, because like when you make a
Yeah,
Reddit post, you can add images, you can add links, you can, you know, there's like a comment section, right? Um which comment section, I don't know if we want to add, or if this is a bit of a tangent actually, but the comment section on Reddit is almost like our node system here. Rather than like
yeah,
writing a whole comment, you're creating a whole node to respond. I don't
yeah,
know if we
exactly.
want both, but yeah.
Um, Yeah, so I kind of want like some kind of discussion based, but like kind of have the discussions buried, and then like so like you can tap in to see the discussions if you want and read through it, but then like really like what most users will interact with is like the final nodes. It's like in Wikipedia, if you open up Wikipedia and like log in, you'll be able to see like hundreds of pages of discussions, but like that's not necessarily what the user interacts with. They only interact with like the final product, and so I kind
Yeah,
of want it based like that.
I agree. I think this, when you are viewing a node, it should be picture and summary. And then like that's it. And then if
Okay.
you there's an option to like see more, which will show maybe like um which would see like more of their actual argument. I just don't, yeah, I think we should give users minimum amount of information to begin with, especially if we're going like if we're focusing on mobile. And then they have options to click into it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. I think I'm understanding. I think I have a good sense of what's going on. Oh, I have like I have kind of a not immediate question, but kind of something that I'm interested in.
Yeah, go off, bro.
Will there be like, can you have multiple of the same arguments, but just on different main nodes?
Give multiple of the same arguments on different main nodes. I think so because the context behind the argument is based on the root node.
Yeah. Like if right, like there could be multiple Department of Educations type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna iterate on node versus subnode looks like.
This is like very Reddit inspired.
Dude, I like it. Talk me through it a little bit. What are you thinking with it?
Okay, so I tried to get all of what we were talking about here. So obviously, top right, you have your account. Like I think that's just very intuitive for people. Top right is usually where you go to for settings and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
then right now, what I haven't added is like a highlighter, but right now we're on the home page.
Mhm.
So this is like a feed that you can scroll through, and you can briefly see. Maybe also at a future iteration of this, it would have like this would be smaller, then there'd be a summary here. But right now I just have pictures. But yeah, you can scroll through different topics, and
Mhm.
right now this is all main nodes. But if possible, at some point it could also be like a popular subnode.
I like
Um,
that, especially because like when you think of like arguments, like you're gonna eventually get to a point where a subnode is its own should be its own like main node, and so like
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see a feature where you could like branch off and be like, okay, like make this a new main node and stuff. But yeah.
let me just make some notes here.
Oh,
Okay, subnodes or main nodes. Yep. This is annoying. Okay, and then you have your recent ones. If you were like browsing through nodes but you didn't save any, you could just go recent. All of the ones that you see, you can create a home node, like a base node from scratch. You can see all of the saved ones, and then I don't know if the inbox is relevant. I think you might have said it. It might be.
I
But
think it would be because like
yeah,
people might be adding to nodes that you are like following.
I think it'd
Um,
be interesting if somebody adds to your node, you'd get a notification about that. So that
yeah.
would be that. Mhm. So that's pretty much it. And
Nice.
then
I like
here,
it. Mhm.
the metrics that I put are the total number of nodes in the topic, how many views, and then this is could be changed, but like percentage of the nodes that are for it versus percent that are against it.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. Um, I also like your addition of like seeing how many subnodes there are, where it's kind of like seeing like how many comments or like users are on a subreddit. But then
Yeah,
I
exactly,
like it.
exactly.
Yeah. Do that. Sweet. I also like the simplicity of it too. Um,
Yeah.
and where did you say like the like one line, the one tagline would go, or like
I think what we would do is we would crop this a little bit, and we would do um, like summary here. And then if I make this, let's make that 10. And then let's make this summary goes here. Let's make this
nice. Oh, one thing, the part where I put like government and you put Department of Education, like I had put that as like a tag where it's like you would have like a few tags.
Oh, wait, let me look at the original.
Like the
Oh,
original like
government. I see.
like the idea is that it's just like a little tag of like this is what this
Uh,
like if you had one word, like government is
Could
like
it be
politics, money, fun.
could it be like government is the POP Department of Education overfunded? So then this would be like highlighted, something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah. And
Okay.
then the logo was just like something to like visually represent, like the logo and the school behind it. Um,
Mm,
yeah. So
yeah. I just kept that because I
yeah,
think it's a good visual to hook you in.
yeah. I like it. I like it. This is pretty fire. I created the next slide. So like, let's say you click into the summary is the Department of Education overfunded. So you click into
Mm,
that, and now you can see like that
mm,
that now becomes like the top node. And I'm gonna let you redesign this because obviously like I'm just getting like bare bones out. And then you can
okay.
see it like kind of branches off. I don't know how we want to represent that or like whatever. I'll leave that up to you. But it
Mm,
branches off into the kind of two options. So this is there'll kind of be two cases for like what the screen will look like. One is where it's like binary option. It breaks down into two different options, or it's like a ton of different options. And I'm gonna try to design like a basic thing for the multiple options. But this is what like basic functionality like yes it is or no it's not, and then like you can click into either one to see where you agree.
interesting. Okay, that makes sense to me. I'm. I think this will be like the crux, honestly, of the design. I think literally
Mhm.
all of the other design is like super basic and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
very repeatable, or
Mhm.
like a lot of other like a lot of platforms repeat. Like this is like every social media is like this, right? This first one.
Yeah.
This is like our big distinguishing factor. So I think like that's where the importance of the design will come in. So
Mhm.
I think like off the bat, I'm kind of thinking of two. Like I kind of just want to go with over this with you right now.
Yeah,
Um,
of course.
so okay, we have. I'm just gonna delete this for right now, and just like show another example of some of a style. So one option is what you have, which is more of like the Reddit system actually. Like in your comments, you see like it like keeps getting indented with
Yeah.
comments. So I'm wondering if there is a more visual way of showing it, and I could totally be like totally off on this, like completely. Um, uh, but I know for like Obsidian, nodes are very like visual actually. Um,
Mhm.
so it's kind of like, and who knows, maybe this is not scalable. So I'm just kind of thinking, I'm just like
Yeah, no
sketching
worries,
stuff
bro.
out. Oops. Let's do a flip horizontal. And then these would be like sub nodes with that. And then maybe like, I'm trying to think of like a more visual way of showing this. This is like more on the yes side. Maybe this is more on the no side rather than like having them indented. But I don't know actually. I'm like, there's pros and cons to either. Like being more visually oriented versus like nested list basically.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I agree. Like I'd like much more, but I feel like the smartphone screens is very skinny, so it's limiting. And obviously, like people could turn it sideways, but like nobody's gonna turn their phone
Another
sideways.
option though is like, and this might add complications. So like, could if I'm just saying, a possible solve for doing a more visual one is if you can scroll, like you can like pan. So like, let's say there's like another node that's like kind of off to the side here, like it's like off screen. Um, it's like over here. The user could like pan their screen over to see it.
Yeah, I think that wouldn't be an enjoyable user experience, but
Mm,
like I know anytime I'm on my phone, it's like clearly like meant for a web page, and like I had to like
it's
scroll
just
up
meant
on.
to scroll up down. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I get what you mean. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to keep it like it's. I think this will
where you
just
could
be
actually
tricky.
see like the two like the options as opposed to like
I think
vertical list. I think.
it's just really like the whole point of I guess like the problem is that like there might be a lot of information. I think the problem is like scalability, honestly, because like there might be a lot of information and a lot of nodes that someone might want to go through, but having it in a nested list, and like the program, like the platform is supposed to kind of encourage you to like read through all the nodes, like form your own opinion. So you might like really want to be looking through all these nodes, but if you look through all of the nodes in a nested list, it might be over, like it might be a little complicated looking.
So one thing, like when you say nested lists, like is it? Do you mean like just because they're vertically showing, or like what's kind of your thing?
Okay, I'm guessing like, okay, like let me delete this out. Let me copy this again. Um, so like these are maybe some main nodes, but would you want? Oh, okay, wait, maybe I'm misunderstanding something. Let me ask you a question. Is this all you see when you first see it, or will you have the option to like click into a further node? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. So you'll have the option to click into a further node. So this yes is a node. So the one at the top is the DOE overfunded is the root node right now. And so the two children node, the two sub nodes are the yes and no. And so whichever one you want, you click on that, and then in the next screen, this yes now becomes the root node visually, even though it's a sub node. Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand. I understand now. Okay, okay, okay. Right. I see what you're saying. So you're like basically you can only see you only see two things really: the root node of, or
Hmm.
like what is your root, you know, root
Yeah,
node,
yeah. Hmm.
and then just one layer deep.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I see. I see. Okay, okay, okay. That was my confusion actually.
Oh,
Because I
okay.
was like, if we want to see like all of the nodes somehow visually represented, that's gonna be crazy.
No, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Dude, I hate the Reddit's like indentation.
That shit sucks. That shit
It's just such a
sucks, dude.
and then
Well,
when you
that
click
was
on
what I
it,
was
it
like.
opens up another page. I'm like, dude, this is terrible. I don't like this.
That was kind of what I was thinking. I was like, if we're gonna do like the, that's what I'm kind of like calling nested lists, or like, like the nested comments. Like, I was like, that's such a terrible viewing experience.
Yeah, no, it's horrible. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it seems
Okay.
like we're on the same page then. So, like,
Okay.
you see how in the next slide where like the one at the very end, the screen at the end. Yeah, right there. Like, so that's the same node as before, but now it's your like root node.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So you clicked on yes, and now there
Uh-huh.
might be like
Now there's gonna be a
this,
bunch.
this,
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Um.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So. All right. Uh. Do we want to call it a day? We've been working on this for an hour.
Yeah, I'd be down to call it a day.